Hey, thank you, Fermin and ANA team for having me here. So, in fact, and indeed, it's very strange for us to be here. We are architects and we are supposed to talk about architecture through ourselves and somehow create a timeline to express and explain why we do what we do in the way we do and how we see architecture in the way we do. So I divide my presentation. I divide my presentation in three parts for today. The first one, it's about the sense of belonging and fiction. The second one, it will be about more than architecture, and the third one, it will be about saving the future. So I'm Andreia Garcia. And I'm the daughter of a father that actually never felt sense of belonging to some place, some specific place. And why? Because since he was born, he was forced to escape from the country he was actually born. So after that, when he became a little bit older, he was forced again to escape again, because he should somehow try to solve a political force that was against and creating a movement of a war on the place that he was, on the country that he was living. And on the opposite side, I am the daughter of a mother that has a very strong sense of belonging. She was born and raised in Guimarães, Minho region. And in fact, those two, let's say, contexts and two different ideas of belonging somehow define me and make me think about what actually really means and what and how that affects me. Also, it's important to talk about my background. So my ancestors from my father's side are coming from very different also contexts. So my grandmother was British, and there are people that were raised and born in Brazil, and then also in Mozambique. And then they somehow, in this timeline, more recently, they are based, or they were based in the interior region of Portugal, of Douro, known by agricultural and also wine production. From the other side, from my mother's side, people never left there. So all my ancestors were, and still are, based in Guimarães. So I'm also born and raised in Guimarães, and Guimarães was in fact, and I must say I'm very pleased that I had the experience to learn from the city and through the city, this medieval city, from the plan of Távora. And I'm very pleased that I was, let's say, privileged enough to actually learn using the squares, those streets, this urban set design, and at the same time, very privileged because I was growing up there and I still can feel home there. So I'm very influenced by three kind of women. Women that are the ones from Beira region, because I'm very common and regularly and in my daily base week still going there and working also there. Also from Minho region, my mother's side, and also from Douro region. And why? Because somehow, and now I'm using the images from Maria Lemas, because somehow it represents what I intend to say. That is the connection and the relationship that those women have, even in their struggling or misery condition, somehow I always find beauty in the way they resist, the perseverance they have, the way they struggle against all the situations that somehow appear. Also, because they are very well connected with the earth. So everything they do somehow is very well connected with my own ancestors. So of course I identify myself with that. Actually, I didn't want to be an architect. I wanted to be a filmmaker. So for this first part of the sense of belonging, I will try to explain how I become from filmmaker to an architect using some, let's say, collections of videos I prepare for today. And those videos, you will excuse me, but some of them are very old, so the quality is not very good. And they represent somehow my sense of belonging, so my places, the ones that are based and myself raised in Guimarães, Porto, Lisbon and Covilhã.
We need to question ourselves about the emergence in various geographies of a multiplicity of decent spaces and practices that in their diversity share the experimentation of collaborative ways of doing and thinking, as well as ways of inhabiting a concrete space together. As a young woman, I wanted to be a filmmaker, precisely to create a rupture in the common circuit of transformations. I wanted to temporarily transform squares and other public spaces into arenas for experimenting with the common life, reconfiguring the political landscape of cities, whether they were Guimarães, Porto, Lisbon, Covilhã or Lamego, or in Rio de Janeiro, Maputo, or a small town in England. I believe in experience, however small and imperfect, as long as it was based on comparison, in space and through space. I ended up becoming an architect, even though I never stopped capturing moving images like these. My doubts problematize not only the actual use of cities, not just the potential of the physical configurations of existing spaces, but also the way in which space is created through practices of memory, imagination, and worldviews as a formative element of social practices, a medium that shapes everyday life, not only influencing the existing social world, but also potentially possible social worlds. It was based on the abstract idea of the city and outlanding city that I began to reflect on the subjects that give or will give shape to the community we desire. Our common condition is linked to the threads that connect us to the fabrics of our dueling, to the relationships between each user and the relationship they, in turn, establish with the place itself. My main references at this time were Henri Lefebvre, Hannah Arendt, Stavros Stavridis, Neil Briner, Christian Schmidt, and Françoise Rohe. Even if I didn't become a filmmaker, my greatest inspiration remains contributing to imagining worldviews, worlds that can express common dreams and opportunities even across different cultures, movements, and surfaces.
So, just continuing to the second part. So, ever since when I was a student, and ever since I was asked to draw a building, I questioned myself, why is there just one way to think about architecture? Because the professors always ask us to draw. The first thing to do in design class, to draw. And I remember once that actually I felt that I wanted to write, to do some kind of a manifesto. So that maybe brought me to do or to create architectural affairs. So it's about creating relationships in different fields of knowledge and somehow contaminate them and collect memories on those different fields and those different actors of knowledge, and somehow build something that could be for myself, creating a production of knowledge that will be distinguished from what I normally intend to do if I immediately just draw. So I connect somehow building with publishing and also curatorship. And yeah, so as we shouldn't present buildings, but we should explain how we see architecture, I will show you again a brief video that will be also about the references, contemporary references that somehow contaminate the way I do and the way I think and the way we do the things we do in studio. But also it's very important because somehow it's my turning point in the research that I do and the most strong contamination in the architecture I do.
Artifacts é uma bienal de conhecimento que valoriza a criação de diálogos entre a arte e a tradição. Esta bienal nasce da ideia de criar uma colaboração entre artistas nacionais e internacionais com artesãos da Beira Interior, na intenção de construir um património contemporâneo de obras artísticas que possam ter um caráter tanto efêmero como perene, mas também que privilegiem a valorização do território e a reinterpretação dos saberes tradicionais. Este enquadramento parte da vontade de resgatar e de preservar a identidade e memória das múltiplas técnicas artesanais que povoam esta região. Os trabalhos artísticos, inéditos, desenvolvidos em 6 oficinas do Fundão e da Guarda, caracterizam-se pelo ecletismo nacional e internacional e destacam-se pela criação de cenários e de novas linhas de reflexão. O projeto enraiza-se no território e pretende implantar uma constelação de práticas com impactos a longo prazo. O programa envolve uma convocatória internacional para projetos produzidos no âmbito de residências artísticas em oficinas de artesãos locais, uma exposição coletiva em 6 diferentes pontos da região e uma conferência internacional que designamos de Fórum de Ideias. Artifacts pretende contribuir para fortalecer um contexto considerado frágil, preservar o legado da região e renovar o seu futuro como património para as novas gerações. Propõe-se abrir a porta a um universo ficcional, alternativo, onde podemos especular sobre o passado e o futuro da relação entre agentes, reivindicando a capacidade de especular para nos maravilharmos com algo tão natural que parece sobrenatural. Nesta edição inaugural, Artifacts lança o tema Supernatural Togetherness, União Sobrenatural, e propõe alianças entre gerações e espécies para salvar o futuro.
So I'm here doing a workshop with an artisan that works with ceramics. So we are trying to make prototypes that are for irrigation systems to make objects that could go in the landscape and assist the life of insects and the vegetal world. We are going to try to install some sort of sculpture that is a pottery that takes water inside with sugar. And that is trying to attract the insects, especially ants and maybe some butterflies or insects that are flying. We are now dealing with severe problems, and we are going to face, I think it's going to be worse and worse, and we need to find solutions. And I think it's very good moments when art, the art of the museums, meets the artisans, and they try to build solutions for the problems that we are going to face. And I think in this example, quite good to connect the contemporary thinking and maybe things that are being lost with time.
This is the first time I'm working with this material, wicker. And what I wanted to do is to do a series of experience to see how I could use the wicker in a more architectonical dimension, But also I'm doing specific pieces to be shown in this beautiful building in the Gonçalo village. It's an abandoned building, all in granite, So the scale of the pieces and the shape of the pieces I'm producing with Sr. Alberto, the artisan, relates a lot with the space where the pieces are going to be shown. So it creates a tension between the pieces and the space. So the first days, it was really getting in touch with the material, going to the fields and see the plant. And the second part was to start one piece, like a flat, big piece that could be used as a curtain. And then the third part of the work is to create pieces for this specific architectonical space. One big lesson in life that is things need to last in time. And my main worry now is how can I contribute, bring people to know about this process, about these techniques, about this material, and maybe, like architects and other artists can use this knowledge, use this material as part of the architecture to build walls, to build ceilings, to build floors, to build but it needs a lot of attention. It needs public politics to protect this work.
So, after this project, I strongly convinced myself that I needed to create bridges in between the ancestral knowledge that I was very already sensitive about, but also somehow the relationship strongly managed by the architects with some other subjects like ecology, some subjects like the energetic transition. So somehow I thought that I needed to bring that not just to the studio, but also to the university where I teach. And actually, I will skip the script for this image because today, when I woke up, I just remember about a sentence that was very important for me during the period of Fertile Future presentation. That was the 18th International Exhibition of Architecture from Venice. And this sentence is from Frederick Johnson, and he say, so it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. So that is why today it's so important, this. And somehow this is very important for the way I will end it up.
É urgente encontrar alternativas à sobrevivência dos ecossistemas, mitigando traumas e reivindicando um novo modelo de operar da arquitetura. Uma prática menos cúmplice de conveniências administrativas, pedagogicamente mais aventureira e ambiciosa quanto à forma e à política, reestruturando vocabulários e métodos e criando espaço para respostas face a dinâmicas ecológicas e sociais.
So if we had to take seriously the fact that architecture could be a part of the solution, then the next question or the next theme that we have to address are how, through what means, what kind of materials do we use? What kind of architecture? What are non-extractive architectures? What are architecture that can call for reparations? What is this? So the starting point is, okay, architecture could be a part of that, but also kind of acknowledging our disciplinary boundary within that, because these systems of extraction are part of a larger structure. It's political economy, it's space, the architecture in itself. It's multiple ideas sort of kind of intertwining to become the shape that we know, the physical shape that we know.
Já nos livros do velho Vitrúvio, no século I depois de Cristo, ele falando da arquitetura falava de tudo. Falava da água, falava dos ventos, falava da exposição solar, falava na proximidade doentia das áreas inundadas onde havia muitos mosquitos, mas também falava no efeito benéfico da Lua, do Sol e de determinados planetas. Eu creio que a arquitetura, de alguma forma, e nesta Bienal especialmente, está novamente a pôr esta questão. É preciso entender a arquitetura e o trabalho dos arquitetos e das arquitetas, percebê-la em contexto. E o contexto é esta economia sem rédeas, são estes problemas de desequilíbrio, de crises climáticas, de crises migratórias, e é impossível não se pensar as circunstâncias do trabalho no meio disso tudo. E, portanto, do que trata esta exposição é exatamente disso, de formas de conhecimento e depois da operacionalização desse conhecimento que deem um sentido ético e um sentido mais politicamente empenhado, mais próximo daquilo que são os problemas da sociedade de hoje ao próprio exercício da arquitetura.
Este projeto alerta precisamente para a importância do espaço do diálogo para regular qualquer tensão. E a tensão é absolutamente necessária se queremos evoluir e se queremos projetarmos para o futuro. Este projeto é sinónimo especificamente disto, ou seja, no entendimento da expressão e da pertinência desse espaço para o diálogo, que é, desde logo, esta plataforma e o que ela cria como projeto de investigação em contínuo, como projeto de produção de conhecimento em contínuo. Esse diálogo é feito numa auscultação inicialmente muito individual, feita de forma atenta sobre o território, mas depois de forma engajada sobre os outros. E os outros são os outros ecossistemas, as outras pessoas, os outros agentes, todos os elementos que contribuem para a identidade, o conhecimento, a profundidade, a complexidade que cada uma destas distintas sete hidrogeografias aporta.
So, just to close, and I will read, because I don't want to skip now. This is also a manifesto, especially today. So, for me, and this is about to saving the future, the last part of the presentation, all architecture, whether it's intentionally political or unintentionally political, is creating something in someone's image. So for the future, I hope to be more capable of questioning myself more about in whose image in the world being made. A further future, a fairer future, does not exclude its debate in the present, rather being a platform for its freedom, opening my mind to other spatial practices that were once dismissed is essential. So I will keep questioning myself. Am I honoring voices that needed to be honored? Am I identified with what I'm seeing around me? And if I am not, how do I strive to imagine the world differently? How does my voice contribute to the long legacy of my ancestors? How can I listen more different places, different communities? How can I think differently? How can I practice differently? How can I gather differently? To counter defeatism, lack of vision, preconceived notions, overly pragmatic thinking, paralyzed discourses, and the inability to dialogue with those who have visions different to my own. I'd rather stimulate my imagination not to indulge in pipe dreams that will never happen the way I imagine them, but rather to make room for actual transformations that have at the same time been foreseen and forethought. This is also architecture responsibility. This is about saving the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, the videos, kind of the projects as well with right, with exhibitions.
Sorry.
You say that it is easier to end the world than end the capitalism?
It is easier to
How-
imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. Now,
How comfortable do you feel yourself with capitalism?
comfortable?
I mean, it's
Today? You asked me that today?
Yes, I asked you today.
Well,
tomorrow
I
as well.
think it's our main question when we architects talk about humanity and social issues. So of course, capitalism is so structured now on the way social society is organized. So I think, it's a huge question, and it's also, and of course, based in all the system that somehow rule us. So we all depend on us, on that, but at the same time, we are maybe over-dependent on them. And also there is a lot of contamination on about this topic and the way the policies and the politics are being done. So even today there is a lot of sentences saying and commenters, political comments saying that what happened in the United States was that democracy lost and capitalism won. So that's why I think it's very important that we actually talk about the impact of that, because of course there is impact in all the ecology topics that we bring here to the stage and the way we actually do architecture. Even if I want to be positive, as Nono said before, but I need to be realistic at the same time. So I think to talk about those topics without boundaries and having or being able to sit in a table with someone that think differently will probably create some new dialogues that we and the planet need very much. And
what do you feel the kind of architecture that will help for a better world needs to have as part of the what do we need to see in the architecture that could maybe make some steps in a good direction?
Well, I think there are. I'm not saying what is good and what is not, because I also think that's always depending on the culture to whom we are talking about the quality of architecture. So I rather prefer to talk about the main topics that I think somehow are being called to structure our emergencies. So I think the social topic is very important. I think sustainability and ecological impact is also very important. I'm not saying which one is the first one or the second one, of course. So climate changes, we will face, and we are already facing a lot of increasing of climate migrants. So of course we should be aware of a different distribution in all the planets. So I think architects are being called to take part on the decisions and take part on the policies that are being made, instead to just think from the economical perspective. So
Which is very deep questions. And how do you see? Are you optimistic regarding what will happen?
Today, today. No, tomorrow maybe. Today I'm still not. I'm still not. But tomorrow, maybe I will be more positive, thinking about the future, because I think it's also important. Because when we are mainly talking architects for architects, I think we know that what we are doing today as a future impact is not. It's not for yesterday, it's not for the present, it's actually for a near future and a long future, even if it's more ephemeral or less. But the thing is, I do believe that no matter what are the diversities, we are somehow raised during all our life to have this ancestor resistance, ancestor resilience to And I know that there are some people that don't like that much this word, but actually I think it's the one that is precisely representing this idea that we need to believe, otherwise we should choose another profession. So yeah, and even when we are talking for new generations, as we all here are professors, I think we need to somehow pass the message that there is still hope on this near future, even if it's somehow depending on some obstacles that are appearing in the journey. But yeah, of course, otherwise, yeah, no, we won't be here.
There are obstacles, and you had also some. I really don't feel so comfortable acting about that, but you have some healthy issues, and I wonder, how did you? I mean, sounds of like very naive to ask if you take something positive out of it, because it's not something nice, but anyway, maybe helps to reflect a little bit about our purpose and how we use our time. I don't know, how did you experience that, and if you took any positive learnings or takeaways from that.
Thank you for
maybe some people don't know.
Yeah, I will give a little bit of context. And Fermin asked me if I was comfortable to talk about that. I didn't know you for sure you will bring this topic to the table, but Fermin is talking about my previous years, and mainly the last year and a half, where I was diagnosed.
I don't even know how to pronounce.
Well, I received a diagnosis of two very hard heart disease, two at the same time. Actually, in the same week that I was appointed the curator of Venice Biennale, Portuguese Pavilion at the Venice Biennale. So yeah, of course, it's not the best moment to receive a news like that. And mainly in my situation, because I'm a woman, and I was the first woman winning the Portuguese representation competition. And the thing is, there were a lot of comments that I'm totally fine with that. So I don't take them too much serious. But the thing is, when we are a woman in architecture field, and even in curatorial architecture or art field, sometimes there are this idea that you are there just somehow occupying a void of representative issue. So of course that happened to me, that I was picked because of that reason, and I needed to prove through my work that I was capable, and the team was capable, and I was representing almost 300 people that we joined to the project. So the project talked about fertile futures, so to think a future that could be more fertile no matter what. And of course, very inspired in the woman, the ancestral woman that inspire me to do the things the way I do. And I still believe that I'm very privileged, still, even with all the surgeries I was doing during this period, even if I needed to live that in silence, just a very, let's say, tribal part of my people knew about that, because it was about showing the work more than talking about myself. And then after the project, I decided to raise somehow voice and to talk about the both disease without any kind of taboo, without complexities, and just to normalize myself, because this idea that we someone give us in the university that we are super man or woman, it's totally wrong. We are just women trying to help other humans. So yeah, in the end, I felt that I needed to talk just to ended up this chapter, and to actually also explain why I needed to focus into myself in some during some months that I was forced to lie in a bed because of that. So yeah, every time and every since what I do, even before, because there were other complexities before, so complications I mean before. So ever since, I think I'm more sensitive and empathic to everyone. And even if I was raised to give value to all the people, all the species, everything, all the spaces also, no matter what. And seeing the strength that was needed to develop that, to build that, to do that, to be that. So during this process of being raised in this respect-based, now I think is even more strong, because when you think that you are, this is very deep, but when you think that you are dying, you are more relative on about you consider that has value in your life, and in what you do and the way you perceive and you achieve your goals. So you start to celebrate more instead to do. How do you define then, that's the last question because you need to continue. How do you define then success? What is being successful for you? I think it's being humble to the values that I was raised for. So I think if I'm honest with myself, I think that always reflects in the result of what I do. Do you think it has do you think it has some positive outcome for your practice or the way you even work? I don't know, you mentioned more empathy. More empathy, more time. More time also. Time for you, I guess, because work-life balance is another topic as well. Time. Do the things with the time. Yeah, because we talk a lot about ecology and also about ecology of time. And we are being forced to always being in a run or in a rush to something, to some deliver, to, architecture is like that, publishing is like that, and curatorship is like that, all our lives, the city, the way we live the city, everything, we don't stand. So I think I was, in the first periods of the disease, I was not like that. In the first moments I was thinking, but then I was always going back. To that. Always going back. But now I think since 1 year and a half, I think I transformed the way I understand ecology of time. It's not about being in a rush. It's about to be very conscious about how long that it will take to be or to achieve that quality. And it's not just the quality of the deliver, it's the quality of yourself mirrored in the result. And I think that is a full package. It's a balance. You're in it for the balance, right? It's equilibrium, Andreia, we're happy you're doing better. I'm totally fine. I'm here. Yeah. Even if my memory, a lot of pills. No, but I think I did it okay. That's important for us, and you should remain strong and healthy. Now I am. Thank you. Support. Thank you for the nice talk, and we'll have later a conversation with all together. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.